Welcome back to my channel, and if you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Lonnie Mendez, and this channel is all about living your best life. So in today's video, I want to share 7 actions with you that you can take that will shift your perspective about money. Money is a tricky area. Many of us struggle with that area, and I found that when I did these exercises several years ago, they actually made a big difference for me. So if you already have power in the area of money, perhaps you will see something in this video that can elevate your conversation about finances to another level. Before I do that, I just want to ask that you, if you find this content useful, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. And again, if you're here for the first time, we're so happy to have you, and I'm going to ask that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can become part of the fam too. So without further ado, let's get started. So number 1 is to explore the money conversations that you've grown up with, or that you've heard over the years as you were growing up. Why do these conversations matter? Because most of the time when you grow up with a particular conversation in the background, or a set of conversations in the background, you inherit those as adults. They stay with you over the years, and when you become an adult, you are still operating from those conversations. And you're doing that without even realizing it, I assure you. So for example, I remember one of the sayings that I grew up with. My mom used to always say that money didn't grow on trees. But if you grew up in a household where there was a scarcity conversation, you may, as an adult now, still be holding on to and operating from that conversation. Even when you may be very successful, you may have the money to buy what you want, but you're still telling yourself, I can't afford it. Or you could be operating on the flip side of that, which is you grew up with a scarcity conversation, and now you're like, I'm never going to deny myself, and you may have become a reckless spender. So those conversations do make a big difference. You just want to look at those. And I had a huge revelation when I interviewed my older sisters about, because my parents are no longer with us, but I interviewed one of my older sisters about the money conversations. And I realized some things that I totally was not aware of before speaking with her. And then it helped me shed some light on how I operate with money. And I realized that I was really not as bad with money as I thought I was at the time. So you'll distinguish some different things once you zone in and see what those conversations are. If your parents are still here, you can speak with them. And if they aren't, you can speak with older siblings, maybe aunts or uncles or other adults who were in the household as you were growing up. And see what you can find there. But I guarantee you'll find something that impacts the way you're operating today. Okay, next exercise, number 2, is to calculate your lifetime earnings. It's not even that difficult to do, because you can actually go to the Social Security Administration's website and you can order your Social Security statement, which will show you for every year how much money you've earned. And it goes all the way back to your first job. My first job, I was 15 years old, and I got a job in the summer when I was in high school, but over the summer at a health clinic as the clerk at the front desk. So it'll go all the way back to that first job. I know that we probably won't be able to remember the newspaper route or the lemonade stands or the babysitting job that was like cash. But whatever you can remember, include it. And don't just limit this, guys, to what you've earned. Also include inheritance, include settlements. I remember a couple of times over the past several years, I got a settlement check from an insurance company because somebody totaled my car, and my car was already paid for. So that money was mine to keep. So you want to include settlements, inheritances, and your jobs and any contract work. Some of you may not have any W-2 records for some years with Social Security because you're a contractor and you do 1099 work. But hopefully you'll have those 1099s from the companies that you've done consulting with. So again, very empowering exercise. I remember the first time I did this exercise, I was like, as hard as I work and as much as I've worked over the years, I better have gone over $1 million. And I did. And that's very empowering. When you look at that number and you say, wow, I've brought in $1.5 million, or I've brought in $2 million from, different sources over all these years, it gives you a lot of power when it comes to your money. Okay, the next exercise is to know what you have. What do I mean by that? So many people have money around in different places and they don't even realize they have it. If you've left jobs that you've worked at long enough to become vested in their pension plan, you have money there in their pension plan that you can't utilize until you retire, but it's your money. Also, people have 401ks that they never rolled over when they left their old jobs, and they've got accounts over here and accounts over there. So do your research, sit down, look at all the places where you've worked, look at all the places where you have money invested, and tally up what you have. Tally up your assets, because there are so many people that don't even know what they have. Okay, next exercise would be knowing what you owe. Even if you're not in a position to start paying it off right now, you still want to know. A lot of people avoid knowing what they owe because they feel like, it's not a whole lot I can do about it right now. But there is power in knowing. So get out that notebook or open that Excel spreadsheet and list out all of your debts. Everything, all those bills that come every month that you toss aside or throw away, start saving those. Write out that list of everything that you owe. It's a whole nother topic and video to talk about creating a plan to actually pay this stuff off. But in this video, we're just addressing that you should actually know exactly what you owe. Okay, next exercise is determine your net worth. Now, this might be a little scary, okay? But basically the net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So once you tally up all your assets and you know exactly what you have, then you tally up your debts and your liabilities. If you deduct those liabilities from your assets, that is your net worth. And don't be alarmed if it's really small, if the number's really small, or if it's zero, or if it's negative. Don't be afraid or alarmed, because there's always an opportunity to change that. You'll have to create a plan, and it's a process, but you're not stuck with it. So know what your net worth is, determine it. It's another powerful exercise. Even if you can't, if the numbers don't look good to you and you can't swap those numbers right now, you can start to think about how you can. Okay, and the next exercise, number 6, is to create a budget. So there's a lot of power in operating from a budget, knowing exactly what your monthly expenses are, and knowing what you bring in every month, and knowing that you can comfortably pay your bills. When you create a budget and you look at what you bring in versus your expenses, you can see if there's any, you can determine if there's any deficit. And if there is, then you can start to work on how do you eliminate that deficit. And so what do I mean by deficit? That is when you bring in less money than the amount of money that is required for you to pay your monthly expenses. Then that means that that amount that you're short would be the deficit. But you can then start to think about how you can eliminate that deficit. There are ways. You can go through all of your accounts and expenses and see if there are ways that you can decrease some of your expenses or eliminate some things that you're not using or paying for and not really taking advantage of. You can also look at how you can create some additional income, okay, from like maybe doing Uber or something like that to just close that gap and eliminate that deficit. And if you don't have a deficit, kudos to you. That's excellent. Now, I'm going to move right into number 7, which is to pay attention to your money. And so I'm going to post a link below for Mint.com, and this is not sponsored or anything, but Mint.com is great for you being able to go to their site and create a budget, put your card information in there, so that as you use your debit card and you make transactions and you're out buying stuff, and as your bills get paid and your checks come in, you can actually classify the money that goes out into, this was for the household, this was for my car, and that way you can actually see where all of your money is going. You can also allocate budgets. You can say, okay, I don't want to spend any more than $100 this month on dining out or entertainment. So you can set budgets for yourself. It will track your spending, and you can come there and look at your spending every month. You can create budgets in there so that you are alerted if you go over a certain amount. So it's a very useful site. I'm going to include that, and that is applicable to numbers 6 and 7, to creating a budget and paying attention to your money. Okay? So if you guys have questions, concerns, anything you want to put in the comments below, any recommendations for other tools that can help people stay on top of their finances, feel free to add a comment. I hope this makes a difference for you and that is useful. And I hope you have a successful day today. I look forward to the next video. Namaste.